Fibers and fabrics, constituents of clothing. Clothes protect us from the varying weather conditions, such as heat, cold, rain, as well as from dust and germs. In our country, the northern states and hilly regions experience cold conditions, which require winter clothing. In the central and southern states, other than hilly areas, the weather conditions are moderate or warm, and summer clothing are sufficient or suitable. Cotton cloth is made from the cotton fiber obtained from the cotton plant. What fiber makes up woolen clothes? Where do these fibers come from? Unlike cotton, wool and silk are the fibers that are obtained from animals. Wool has several varieties and is obtained from the animals such as sheep, goat, camel, yak, llama, rabbits, and so on, while silk is obtained from the cocoon of the silk moth. Any cloth or textile is a result of fibers of a substance woven in a pattern. There are many sources of the fiber like natural plant and animal products. Fabric is the end result of a process called weaving that makes use of yarn made from fiber as the ingredient. Thus, fiber is the material or the ingredient, whereas fabric is the finished product sold in shops. Wool and its sources. Sheep is blessed with an extraordinary trait of yielding blankets of wool over its body. These steps are applied for turning fleece to wool fibers and fabric. Shearing. It is removal of fleece which takes place twice a year in spring and autumn. It is done by razor-like instruments. After this, an antiseptic solution is applied so that sheep is free from any skin infection. Scouring. Then the wool is properly washed so as to remove dirt from the lumps of wool. During this process, a greasy element called lanolin is extracted, which is further used in the manufacturing of creams. After washing, the wool is dried to make it useful for the next step. Sorting. The wool is sorted and mixed in an appropriate ratio. This process aids in providing a fine color to the wool. The small stuffy fibers called burrs are picked out from the hair. Carding. The wool is untangled with the help of either small hand cards or machines. This is just like combing of hair. After carding, the wool becomes softer and also attains a good length. Spinning. Under this process, the wool takes the shape of yarn by the use of a spinning wheel. Then, washing and dyeing is done. During spinning, certain oils are used which make it necessary to wash the wool once again. Rearing of sheep. Australia accounts for almost 30% of the total world wool production. Sheep farms are spread over a large area, covering several hundred square kilometers. Some breeds of sheep bear only a coat of 5 hair. Such animals are reared by selective breeding. Selective breeding is the process to obtain animals or plants having special characteristics. In India, sheep are generally reared in Jammu and Kashmir, Uttaranchal, and Sikkim. A typical sheep farm consists of the farmer's house with all modern facilities. Thousands of merino sheep are kept on the farm that feed on natural grasses and bushes. The farmer and his family, with the help of trained workers called jackaroos, ensure that the sheep are herded from one green enclosure to another. The farmer also attends to ill health and injuries of the sheep. After the winter season, the sheep are headed towards the farmhouse, where the farmer, along with other trained people, remove the fleece of the sheep by shearing machines. Other than Australia, commercial sheep rearing is also done in New Zealand, Argentina, South Africa, Uruguay, China, Ukraine, and Estonia. Besides sheep, the fleece of other animals also provides good quality wool, such as the Kashmir goats, Angora rabbits, vicuña, llamas, alpaca, yak, and camels. Why do woolen clothes keep us warm? The wool fibers are crimped, having a number of bends. This increases the airspace in the woolen cloth. Air is a bad conductor of heat, and therefore, when we put on woolen clothes, the air enclosed does not allow our body heat to escape, making us feel warm. Sericulture, history and production. The rearing of silkworm and the production of silk from them is collectively called sericulture. It is a very old practice and dates back to 3000 BCE, when the silk production began in China. It was by 300 CE that silk production began in Japan and India. Later, by the 13th century CE, sericulture developed in Europe, in Italy, and by 17th century, France and Spain also started producing silk. Modern sericulture consists of incubating the eggs of the silk moth to produce the caterpillars that are called worms or silkworms. After hatching from the eggs, the caterpillars feed continuously on mulberry leaves for about 6 weeks. After this period, the worms, caterpillars, are ready to spin their cocoon. Branches of shrubs are placed close to them, on which they climb and spin their cocoons by making a single fine thread. This process takes about 1 week to 8 days. The cocoons are collected and boiled in water. The boiling water kills the insect inside and dissolves the gum that hardens the cocoons. The cocoons are dried and brushed to give only the fine thread or filament. A set of 4 to 8 cocoons is made by joining and twisting the filaments thread. Generally, 6 to 12 sets of filament are joined together and the thread made is wound on a reel. The thread on the reel may contain as many as 48 filaments. Thus, raw silk is produced and the reels of raw silk are sent for making the silk yarn. Unlike cotton or wool, the silk reel is made of extremely long fibers, and 1 kg of raw silk is obtained from about 5,500 cocoons. In the silk mills, the raw reels are spun to make yarn fit for weaving or knitting. This process produces different varieties of silk yarn depending on the type of spinning. Wild silk is produced by undomesticated varieties of silkworms. The cocoon of the wild silk are descended by the silk moths, which chew the cocoon to come out. The silk thread that is obtained is shorter in length, but the cloth made from this silk is much stronger and has a longer life. Muga silk is one such variety, which is golden in color and produced in the Brahmaputra Valley in Assam, as well as in the neighboring country of Myanmar. Occupational hazards of fabric industry. Workers in the silk industry often suffer from poor health. When silk cocoons are boiled, foul vapors and gases that are released cause respiratory diseases among the workers, who are continuously exposed to these conditions. Workers are also exposed to dipping their hands and feet in water, in which cocoons are boiled, which develop skin infections such as scabies, eczema, and other fungal infections. Also, exposure to harmful fumes, poorly ventilated premises, and noisy machines lead to many secondary infections among workers. People working in the wool industry sometimes get infected by a bacterium called anthrax. It leads to a total blood disease called Sotter's